Well, hey Fire Masters, today I want to show you how to reverse sear a steak in your flat fire without using a smoker. When you can fill that steak with smoke first before you cook it off, just pump it full of smoke and then sear it off, man, you'll just never go back to cooking steak any other way. So I want to show you how to do this with your swing frame without needing a smoker at all. So basically what I've got here today is just a little bit of meat, but I've got the thicker cut of meats that I could find in my freezer. This is actually fillet. This stuff's looks more like a sirloin, but it's a bit thin. You want to go as thick as you can. When it's thin, you got more chance of sort of over smoking it. So get the thickest bit of meat if you can, and put the salt on. Really, you don't want to be putting any other thing. You don't need a rub. You don't need any flash sauces. You know, you don't need all these flash rubs. You literally just need to salt it. The flavor is not going to come from the sugar and spices and stuff in a rub. It's going to come from the smoke. And today I'm going to be using Ko-Fi, and it just tastes, the Ko-Fi smoke is incredible. So we're just going to be all about appreciating the smoke. But you need salt, and the salt really does just help to draw out the flavor, and you want to put that in before you start smoking. So yeah, it may look like I'm using a heap of salt, but that's how you do it. It's amazing. Okay, now I want to show you how to manage your fire to achieve what we're going to achieve. So come and have a look. Okay, so what I've done to prepare for this is I've got my swing frame in here up high, so it's away from the heat. I've had my fire going actually for an hour or so now, and it's just burnt down to embers. I've used a hardwood, so I've got some really nice embers in there. You could also have some coals in if you don't have some hardwood and you want to keep the heat, but the important thing is you want some heat in your embers, but not a big raging fire. In fact, you want the fire to be dead, because what we're going to do is we're going to stick in some nice wood to give it that smoke. And today what I'm using is Ko-Fi, and honestly, if you had smell-o-vision for what this stuff smells like when it starts smoking, it's just spectacular. It's going to put some incredible flavor in the meat. So I'm going to put that on there. That's going to start smoking, and yeah, you should be able to touch that, and as it should be sitting away from your fire. And we're just going to put the steak on there. It's not going to be cooking, it's literally going to be sitting in the smoke. All right, so you can see that I got a bunch of smoke happening from this lovely Ko-Fi that I'm using to create the smoke. And you can actually pull that off the embers and set that right underneath your grill. You can see the smoke there coming up through the grill and around the steak. And so what I'm going to do basically now is manage my fire so there's some warmth in there and some smoke. And I don't want the steak to overcook. I just really want to sit it in the fire for a while until it's just nice and smoky. Nice and smoky. That's what we're looking for. Okay, so listen, I've got no smoker on here. I've got no dampener, so this smoke is literally just coming from the fire. The trick later is actually going to be getting the fire cranked up again to sear this off. But the beautiful thing is I'm going to pull the steak off and then crank the fire up. And it's not going to matter with the steak sort of sitting off the fire for a little bit. But what I wanted to show you here is just the color. You can see the smoke color that's gone into the steak. They're no longer pink. They've kind of got this black almost sort of look to it. And that's from the smoke. They're not hissing on here. I can still touch the grill plate. And yeah, I'm just turning them over to manage the smoke. Making sure it's all fully covered in smoke and just putting that back in. With a typical reverse sear, you would look to smoke that to the point that it's actually cooked on the inside, and all you're doing is searing that off. It's quite tricky to do that without a smoker, so I'm probably not going to try to achieve that today. What I'm really focusing on is just getting as much smoke into the steak as I can before I bring it down and sear it off. So yeah, we'll be back shortly. So listen, I think I've got enough smoke into these steak. I don't know how long it's taken. You've got to work that out for yourself. Maybe 15 minutes. You're not going to probably get them fully cooked all the way through using this technique, but it's really just checking them out, managing your fire, make sure your fire doesn't get too hot, and just seeing them change color, and managing all that stuff and working it out for yourself as you go along. So I'm good to pull these out. The next step for me after this is I'm going to take this grill off, And then I'm going to manage my fire so that I can get a really good ember base under here. Going to put a hot plate in, drop it down low and sear them off. So I've just put my hot plate in there and I'm just going to wait for that to warm up a little bit. It's not going to take long. I've got a huge amount of heat pumping there, and then I'm going to put the steaks back in and cook them up. So yeah, I've got that really hot, maybe just a little bit hot, but I've definitely got it hot. Putting the steaks on, you want to hear that hissing sound so you know it's cooking. And yeah, this is when you can potentially just do a couple of minutes aside. It depends on how you want your steak cooked. I don't mind mine a bit rare, so I'm really just going to make it look like it's cooked, and then we're going to eat it. So listen, I reckon these are pretty much ready. I've already taken 2 off. How do I know they're ready? Well, you can sort of use the bounce test, which you just sort of get used to, and those are like they're quite bouncy, quite spongy, and so that's kind of still medium to medium rare, and the tenser it gets, the more cooked it is. So yeah, I think I'm going to take those off. So I'm pretty sure this is going to be awesome. So yeah, I'm just going to get in and give it a go. Yeah, I thought that one would be medium, and it pretty much is. Yeah. Yep. So I might put a little bit more salt on that, just to bring up a bit more of the flavour, but totally just incredible. Straight. Way better than you can get on a barbecue. And way nicer than just not filling it with smoke. So honestly, if you haven't done this before, try it. It'll blow your mind and your guests will love it. It's a little bit complicated, so I know that at times that sort of looked a little bit complicated, but it's really worth it. Give it a go. See you next time.